Leadership is a very hot topic. I think it's going to always be a hot topic, and it doesn't matter if it's in the sports world, doesn't matter if it's in the corporate world. It's gonna be valued, and the reason why I know this because I've done some research on it. So I want for people in the chat, how much money do you think corporate America? How much money do you think corporate America spends per year on leadership development within their teams? How much money do you think all of corporate America, how much money do you think they spend on leadership development for their supervisors, for their VPs? Give me a guess. I don't know if I can see the chat. Let me see.
I'll let you know. Someone said not enough and not much.
Not enough and not much?
And those are the two answers so far.
Okay. All right, well, cool. $166 billion per year. $166 billion per year is spent on leadership development. But only 20% of those people who do it, who go through the training, say that they get something out of it, say that this leadership, that their development makes them better. So I think there's a huge disconnect with leadership. And so I want to kind of break things down. So if you can't explain, so leadership or anything, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, then you don't understand it very well. Albert Einstein said that. I thought that was pretty cool. And I know, us coaches, I coach high school football here in Portland, Oregon. And you got to be able to boil it down. You got to simplify things. So then you want your players to play fast. And I think Albert Einstein, he hit it right on the nose. So I think with anything, you got to learn the foundation of it. Not a lot of people know that I didn't start playing football until 8th grade. So I didn't watch it on TV. I didn't grow up watching it. My dad didn't play it. We didn't play catch. Like I played a little bit on in the sand lots or the open fields, or sometimes in the street in Colorado. But I didn't understand. I didn't know what football was. And finally I asked my dad, I said, Dad, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to pick up this game, this football thing. I don't understand. He said, man, we got a set of encyclopedias right over there. You can find out how to play this game looking in those encyclopedias. And so that taught me early on, and I did. I read it up and down, what football was and the foundational principles of it. And so it gave me a certain knowledge that I can always lean on because it was in these books, encyclopedias. So learning things from the foundation, all right? So what exactly is leadership, all right? Because there's so many different types of leadership. I don't know all of them, 5 or 10 or something like that. I don't know. But there's different styles, but still, what is leadership? They don't talk about what leadership is. Leadership is influence. That's it. It's influence. At the granular level, leadership is influence. So we have to understand that the things that we do, the things that we say, it can lead people to us or away from us. It doesn't matter. It's still leadership. So you can expect could be good leadership and there's bad leadership. It's still influence. It's still leadership. So I had Mike Ditka. He coached me my 2nd through 4th year in the NFL when I was with the Saints from 97 to 99. And he was, he's a bigger than life type of guy. Won the Super Bowl, right? Head coach of the 85 Bears. Everybody knows the 85 Bears. He's been on Saturday Night Live. He's been in movies. He's been, commentating. He's been on the sports shows and whatnot. Like, and on top of that, he played in the NFL and is a Hall of Famer. But there's a difference between positional leadership, right? He's in a position. You as coaches, you are in a position of leadership. But you want to get the most out of your players, if you want to get the most out of your employees, your children, people who you are leading, you're in a position of leadership, it has to be relational. Relational leadership is greater than positional leadership. So I got this picture, right? I got this picture. One of my good friends, he's we coach high school on the same team. We were teammates with the Saints my rookie year back in 1996. His name is Anthony Newman, played 12 years at strong safety. And he told me a story about Al Davis. And that story went something like this. Like, Anthony was, he played, I think, 5 years with the Rams, then he played 3 years with the Saints, and then he went on to the Raiders. Okay, he went to the Raiders. And he was telling me in minicamp, he was walking down the hallway, and actually, I'll take that back. He wasn't walking, he was on the field. And the first thing he did, or he smelled, she's like, man, I smell something. What's that? It was Al Davis. You can smell him from a mile away because he put so much cologne on. Anyway, he said he had a conversation with him. He said that Al Davis approached him. Right? This is the CEO. This is the boss. This is the head guy, the president of the company of the Raiders. Came to Anthony and he said, hey, Anthony, I got a question for you. When you went to Oregon, now, Anthony, he played, I think he was drafted in 85 or 86. But he asked him, he said, Anthony, when you went to Oregon, why did you choose DB instead of running back? Because I read up on you. You was an awesome running back. What made you change? And Newman was blown away. It's like, what? And then he told him why. But that conversation, that head guy did his research. He did his research and he created a connection that all of us can learn from. He was building a relationship. And to this day, like Anthony, he only played 3 years with the Raiders, but that's his team because of that conversation. Relational leadership is greater than positional leadership. So these are the influencers. All right, this is going to influence why people follow you or why you should follow somebody else. And here they are. Character. In no particular order, okay? Character, relationship, ability, knowledge, experience, communication, platform, success, failure, and intuition. And so I'm going to break each one of them down. So character, right? Character, when you boil it down, is who you are. It's who you are. I make decisions. Me in my life now, as a 49-year-old who's been on this planet for a long time, I used to make my decisions based off other things. But I look at it as my wife and I, we have 8 children. I want to be able to teach them. I build a relationship with them, but I want to be able to teach them different things. The biggest thing is I want them to know who they are. And then their friends, who they are. Do you want to surround yourself with people who rob, steal, lie, do all those things? Or do they want to be around people who have good character, people who do the right thing, even when nobody's looking, right? Character is who you are. For me, this is the biggest thing. For me, this is how I'm influenced. And this is why I want to influence people, by showing them my character. Relationships. This is huge. I want to create a relationship with my children. Right? I want it. So that means I have to open up to him. I have to show vulnerability. I want my players on my team, all right, no matter if they're the starter, the top dog, or they're playing the position left out, okay? If they're not getting on the field, whatever, I still want to build a relationship with them. And we all have that ability to do that. We can ask questions about their lives, what they're going through. Okay, so relationships is powerful. There's a reason I'm on this platform with you all today, because of a relationship that I have with Bobby Ayers. He's the one that hooked me up with BSN. Relationships are powerful. Relationships can open doors. They can also close doors if you don't have the right character. Okay? Relationships is big. Intuition. So if you're taking notes, intuition is how you feel, right? This is the most powerful influencer there is. It's also the most unstable. There's a lot of people that make decisions based off of how they feel. And these decisions sometimes are horrible. They make horrible decisions based off how they feel. Just yesterday, or I should say on Tuesday, we were at football practice, and our stud guy, the best player on our team, and I built a relationship with him over the years, right? Like I've worked with him, I trained him, I give him little tidbits, you know, he has access to me. I send him different things that's inspiring on IG, right? We've developed a relationship. And he came to me, he said, man, these coaches, man, they be tripping. Man, they better stop talking to me like this, or they better stop calling me this or whatnot. And I was like, okay, I get that. Maybe that coach don't know you like I know you. And I know you're somewhat sensitive, and that's okay. But I said, you need to have a conversation with him. He's 18 years old. Our coach is 50-something. I said, but you need to have a conversation. But what he did was and we know, things get lost over text. And he texted this long text message, and it included a couple of other coaches. What happened was, and then he asked me afterwards, what did I think about it? He texted me, and I said, we're gonna have a conversation face to face. And I told him, once we got face to face, I said, you were in your feelings. You can't make decisions. You can't do those different things, say those things when you're in your feelings. Bad decisions happen when you're feeling and you're not thinking. We have to be able to separate the two, all right? Your feelings, your intuition, it's not a roadmap, it's data. And when you're angry, you got to calm down. Sometimes it takes us 5 hours, sometimes it takes us 30 minutes, sometimes it takes us 24 hours to cool down, and then, okay, now let's think. And you got to be okay with that. But intuition, how you feel, It's powerful in how you make others feel. The words that you say, the things that you do, how you walk into a room, you can make a room feel a certain way. Communication, how you share. So how you communicate. Now, I know, this is a group that already knows these different stats and whatnot, but only about 8% of the words that comes out of your mouth that people gather, people get. So words, that's very little what people get from you. It's body language. Body language is huge. I think it's either 41 or 38%. I can't remember. But it's significant. Your body language, your tone is another way how you communicate, right? When you're passionate, when you want something, how you communicate, the tone, right, can influence people. If everything you do and you keep it at one steady tone and you just talk like a robot, like most teenagers do, that's not influential. But when you add tone, you add body language, and I don't care if it's in a basketball court, if it's in the school, is it in the weight room, is you can look at somebody, I can look at somebody and tell like what type of person they are, for the most part. So how you communicate, it's not just the words that comes out of your mouth. That's very minimal. Your tone and your body language is huge. How you share. Your ability, right? What you're capable of. Now, there's good and there's bad when it comes to ability, right? In America, if you play a sport and you're really, really good at it, no matter if it's at the pee-wee level, if it's the high school, the college, even the pro level, your ability can give you a pass for most people. Most people, because they're good, because they're tall, because they quit, they can put the ball through the hoop and they can do it over and over, and their ability will influence people. My only thing is, and a lot of times as athletes, because our ability has gotten us out of sticky situations. Because of our ability, we've been given a free pass. Then we start to feel entitled to, when we get into sticky situations, that person is going to give me a free pass. That person is not going to look at like the character that I'm showing. For a lot of athletes, their ability protects them from their character. And when that ability is no longer there, either they get older or they're going through a slump or they stop playing, now that ability, it goes down, and now they have nothing to protect them from who they are. They've been in butthole for years, but because of their ability, it's shielded people, even people in their own family, even coaches, because of their ability. I tell my players all the time, I say, I'm in it for more than just winning games. I want to make you, all the players that I coach, if they're men, boys, whatever, male, I want to make you the best person possible. So I'm going to hold you accountable to everything. I don't care if you're great. I don't care if we win, if we're losing. I'm going to hold you accountable to your character. It's not just ability. I'm not blinded by ability. Your experience, the experiences that you go through, where you have been, influences people. Think about this, like You know, most of us have jobs other than coaching. And when you're filling out an application or even on your resume, what experience did you have? Right? Where have you been? Where you've been at Nike, you've been here, you've been what that in the corporate, we're in the business world, that's important. I don't think it's I don't think it should be number one, because I think there's a lot of people who lack experience, but they have other things they're hungry for knowledge. They have great character. Because once again, experience can shield people from your character. You can be a jerk, but yet you have all the experience in the world. And sometimes experience doesn't equate to success. At our school, we have a track coach who's been coaching, and he's quick to tell you, he's been coaching for over 30 years. So for somebody who doesn't understand leadership, who doesn't understand influence, they're like, oh man, that's great. He knows what he's doing. Well, my next question is, but how many championships have you won? You can have 30 years of experience and be terrible. There's people who's been a parent 2-3 times over, and they're terrible. But they have experience being a parent. You have experience being a teacher. That don't mean that experience is necessarily good, right? Experience. And here's another thing. Your experience is powerful. But what's even more powerful is other people's experience. When you learn, the reason I played 8 years in the league, in the NFL at the highest level, wasn't because I was just fast and I was quick. I definitely wasn't all that big. And it wasn't just because of my experience. I watched the guys who are where I wanted to be. I watched them like a hawk. And not just them, but I watched everybody at my position. I looked, I listened, I listened to the coaches give their feedback on that experience, and I learned. You can learn faster from other people's experience. That's why I think other people's experience is more powerful than your own in different worlds, in different places. Because you can move through it faster. Make sure I'm on time here, because I want to leave time for some questions. Success, right? We just talked about that. You can have all type of experience, but if you don't have success, then you just been doing something for a long time. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you've been growing. But success is what you have had success at doing, what you have achieved. What you have achieved. But once again, like ability, this can blind people. People love winners, right? We love winning. And we know with winning, man, we get these things happen because of you winning. Doors start to open because of you winning. When I was at Oregon, when I first got there in 91, I redshirted. We were terrible. We went 3-8. Next year we went 6-5, and then we went another 3-8. And I remember walking across, from the facilities, we had to walk across this main road, and there wasn't a crosswalk. So we had to walk and, look both ways for traffic, and then we'll, kind of walk. And I remember, man, those cars, man, which were trying to hit us. They'd honk at us, you suck. But then we started winning. And especially our Rose Bowl year in 94, man, people be stopping, and you go ahead and pass, go ahead and walk through, honking the horn, yes, go Ducks. You ain't winning, trying to run you over, right? Success. People love successful people, right? Check it out. Failure is also an influencer. what you have failed at achieving, what you have failed at doing. And most people think that this is going to push people away from you. But, and it can, but what you can do is you can repurpose failure. You first got to own it. You have to own it. When we're watching film, I don't care what sport you play, but when you watch film, I remember all this, the good stuff. Yeah, that was it. And the hard, when I got beat, I'm gonna write down, man, why did I get beat? Was it my eyes? Was it my technique? Was it my alignment? Was all those things? And you write down that stuff down, you break it down so you don't repeat it. Right? I don't want to repeat failure. I don't want to repeat like how I was raised. I was raised, my dad was a drill sergeant, you know. I know he loved me, but he didn't say it. He never said it. Never gave me, wrapped his arms around me, man, I love you. Hey, man, I'm proud of you. I didn't get that. And that's okay, because it's made me the person I am today. Me and my 8 children, every time I get off the phone, I make sure they know I love them. I walk in the door, I get a big hug. I give them a big hug. Even if they don't want it, I give it to them. I don't want to, not saying my dad's a failure, but how I want to change the trajectory of my family and my life, I look at, I break those things down. I look how it made me feel, and I know I can do the opposite. I can make my kids feel, not guess, but make them feel like they're loved. Okay, you have the same thing. The failure that happens, and so like when you're coaching, I just break it down. I don't put feelings in it. I don't put emotion in it. They make a mistake. Hey, what did you see? What made you make that decision? Let them figure it out. Let them think through it, and then they own it. If you're constantly barking at them, they ain't gonna. Like I said, like the words, 8% what they're getting. Ask them a question. Platform, what you do. What you do. LeBron James, what he does. Plays in the NBA, the highest level, right? Somebody who's a CEO of a company. Yeah, they're a leader, right? And let me even break this down. Kim Kardashian, beautiful, right? Millions of followers. Does she have talent? Does she have, maybe now because of but her platform, which is beauty, her platform is a huge influencer, at least for my daughters, right? So what you do is an influencer. You all being coaches at whatever level, it's an influencer. All right, understanding these 10 things, right? Knowledge, what you know, right? What you know, which it kind of gets linked in with experience, but knowledge is an influencer, right? The things that you know because of, the time that you spent at whatever sport you played, and you breaking it down to the foundational root, the foundational principles of it, that's knowledge, and that's powerful. So then it comes down to, how can we practice leadership? How do we practice leadership in the different pieces, the different elements? Some are harder than others. Some are harder than others. These are a couple of the questions or techniques. So do right, even when no one is watching. One of the things that makes me the most proudest as a parent is my son. He's number 6, 13. He's a beast, let me tell you. So I have a son, he's in 2nd year in the NFL. He plays for Tennessee Titans. He was a beast at 13. This dude, my son now, what he wants to do, he wants to erase Elijah Molden's name off the record books in Westland, Oregon. But what makes me proud is when I get text messages, I get phone calls, and they tell me, hey, I just saw your son. He was walking across the street on the crosswalk. He had in his bike, and he stopped and went back and picked up some trash. I'm celebrating that. I'm doing backflips. He didn't know that mom was watching, right? Your players saying things or doing things that might be little. It might be something little, but it's something that can be significant if you see it or if you hear about that and you celebrate that in front of others, especially them. Trying to move past transactional relationships. I had a coach, I'm not going to say his name, but you're talking about transactional relationships. He's with the Saints, and I could have had a terrible game, terrible. And we won. Hey, man, hey, great game. Great game. Man, that's okay. Yeah, you got beat for a couple of touchdowns. Hey, great game. Don't worry about it. Great game. We lose, and I play a magnificent game. I ball out. He doesn't talk to me. He doesn't even look at me. And we're on a plane. So there's time. He ignores me. That right there can cause your players to lose respect for you the fastest way. It's transactional. Treat them the same whether they win, lose, or draw. Not just when they ball out or you win. Treat them the same. Emotions are only data. They're not roadmaps. We get caught up in our emotions as coaches. So just reacting off them at the spur of the moment, and it happens. I get it. But you have to be grown enough to be able to, over some time, to be able to, hey, look, I got caught up in my emotions. Here's what I intended that those words to mean or for you to do. Okay? Don't just rely on your emotions. Terrible things happen. There's tons of people, thousands of people in prison because of their emotions, because they couldn't control them. And they confuse thinking with feeling. Your past experiences is a part of your framework. Use it. Use your experiences as a framework. All right, where you've been, the different situations, the different scenarios. We're older than the players, most likely, that we're coaching. Use those past experiences, whether they're good or bad, because you can repurpose it to help somebody else. Hopefully your athletes, I share with my athletes all the time, not the wins. No, man, the times I got beat, the times where I made a mistake, the times where like I got caught in my emotion. I started yelling and screaming at my coach. Your experiences, use them as a framework. Don't let ability, I've already talked about this, but don't let ability or others' ability influence you more than their character or understand more than your character. That's when that sense of entitlement comes in. Be mindful of how you communicate. Verbally, your tone and your body language. You can practice these things every day. I practice mine at home. I practice mine like anytime I walk into a Starbucks. I practice what do I want to get out of a situation? For me, I want people to feel a certain way because I know how influential, right, intuition is. I want to make them feel like they're seen, like they're heard. I want them to feel good. I practice that every day. And you can do the same thing. So I want to leave some minutes. Nate, is that cool?
Yeah,
Couple of
absolutely.
minutes for some questions. Maybe you can shoot some, if there's questions in the chat. Remember my man Nate Dogg can shoot them over to me and I can answer them. But let me tell you right now, I'm not a guru. I've wrote a book. That's great. I'm still not a guru. I'm still learning. I've become really good at asking questions though. So, if you ask a question, I'll give you an answer. The answer might be from you because I might flip it and turn it back onto you. Because if you can understand leadership, the foundational principles of it, it doesn't matter if you're on the football field, on the pitch, on the basketball court, at home, at the grocery store, foundational, not situational. All right.
Yeah, so we'll open it up to some questions here. We don't have any in the chat as of now, but I'm sure some will start rolling through here. Don't be shy. This is your time, coaches. So if you have anything for Alex, please ask away. We got a question here from Travis. How has your leadership style changed to accommodate the changing dispositions of kids today?
I'm sorry, I missed that last part.
I said, how has your leadership style changed to accommodate the changing dispositions of kids today?
For how's mine's changed? I think I lean on relationships. I get to know the players. And it's so hard because I know, like, they're on their phones, they do, they don't really communicate a ton. I understand that now. So I go out of my way to start conversations because I know they see me not just as a coach, but also as a former NFL player. So that means, and I have experience in that, right? And I have knowledge. And so for some people, I understand that some of them are intimidated. So I make sure that I go to people who and I try to do this with guys who that I don't even coach them, but they're on the team. Hey man, I try to create a relationship. Hey, what you do this weekend? What was something that you did this weekend that was great? Right? How's school going? Man, how you smart? Man, because I used to have, a 2.9 and you know what I'm saying? But I try to create relationships in it because it has to start from the top. As a player, like I said, coming up to a coach, it's intimidating. It's intimidating. So I think trying to build a relationship with your players, even if you don't necessarily coach them, is something that I've changed. I start with that.
Awesome. We'll wait for a couple more minutes, see if any other questions roll through, but I have a question for you. So
Yes.
In terms of leadership with kids, is this something that can translate over to parents as well? Just getting them to understand that this is what you would want out of coaches that are coaching your kids in high school level.
Absolutely. I would hope that, like I said, because it's foundational. So I would hope that I'm gonna put my headphones in so I can hear a little bit better. Is that cool? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I would definitely hope that that parents, they can use these same things with parenting, right? Because parenting is a position. It's a position. Okay. Parents is the number one thing for me is I want my kids to have the right character, knowing who they are, knowing that, man, respecting, treat others how you want to be treated. Like that's part of it. And I think like understanding how you communicate, like all the things that we talked about, I think to be the best parent that you can be, which means you want to have your child be able to, I know for me, the biggest thing is I want my kids to be able to overcome setbacks, roadblocks. That's my thing. I want my children, because I know, whether they play sports or not, bad things are going to happen. And if you haven't prepared them, you haven't gave them a type of framework, they look at it as roadblock, it's right there and they can't get past it. And so I want to be able to give a framework to like, hey, okay, this is great. Number one, like I'm going to use this this roadblock, this injury, this whatever, I'm gonna get better after this. And I tell my kids, like, I remember, so I have this scar about that big on my knee. I have ACL, MCL, partial PCL. I still got 2 screws in this knee. And I tell them, and I tell, in my talks, this thing, I used to think that in spite of this, I made it to the NFL. No, because of this, I made it to the NFL and played 8 years. It wasn't in spite of, it was because of this injury, like a part of me came out that I never knew existed. So, learning these influencers, you can see things, roadblocks, and you can flip it. You can make that, you can use it, you can repurpose it. And we all have that capability.
Awesome. We got a question here. Who was the best coach you ever had, and what made him the best coach?
Oh, I like this. I love this. That's a great question. Who asked that question?
Charles Rodis. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Charles, thank you, Charles. That's a great question. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, and it's in my book. Best coach I ever had. He was my DB coach, my second year in the NFL. His name is Willie Shaw. Willie Shaw is the father of David Shaw, who's the head coach of the Stanford Cardinals football team. I had him for 1 year. Here's the thing: he gave me a framework, and I wear. So I wear this every day. I don't know if you can see it, but it says alignment, assignment, and adjustment. Alignment, assignment, and adjustment. He told me, Alex, you're blessed. You're fast, you're quick, you're smart. But if you want to play a long time in this league, you have to master these 3 things: assignment, alignment, and adjustment. He treated everybody the same. He never let his emotions, his voice was right here the whole time. All right. And not the whole time. There were certain times when he wanted to get a point across. Oh, yes, he would. But the reason why he was so good is he taught. I remember seeing us a lot of days. He would just be talking through different scenarios, different things. And I look around and see the other coaches in the NFL doing drills, right? Running around, doing all that stuff. He made us listen to, in different scenarios, how people thought, how you thought, and how the other people thought. We watch film, one play, and I have this on my last podcast episode, one play for 30 minutes. But what that did, that 30 minutes, when you look at my chart in terms of like football IQ that day, it went up to there, and then it stayed up there, because he made us look at it from different points of view, not just as a DB. Look at it as a linebacker, a defensive lineman in this particular coverage. What is the offense coordinator thinking? What are they trying to get across? What are they looking for? And he just blew my mind on how he taught us. He taught us the game. He gave us a framework. So that it was hands down, that's the best coach I ever had, Willie Shaw.
Awesome. Thank you. We got 2 more questions here before we wrap it up. Coach Davis asked, what advice do you have for having a positive relationship with the parents of your athletes, with the understanding you will never be able to please everyone?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is that you're growing these athletes, not just to win games. If you're in it just to win games, I think you're missing the boat. You're in a position to change lives. You're in a position, so you have to be intentional with how you go about things. And I think if you're a coach, and the stuff that we already talked about, like, you want them to become better leaders, and you want them to be able to overcome adversity. So you're going to hold them accountable to not your words, but their own words, right? I think as a coach, and parents respect that. Parents love this. It's like, look, I'm gonna ask every player, and I say, where do you want to do? I ask them as an individual player, and then as a team, where do we want to go? It always starts with that. And for them, they want to win a state championship, right? Cool. Okay. So what type of character do you have to become to do that? A hard worker. I got to do this. Okay. So they're writing the contract for you. Now it's up to you as a coach to hold them accountable for it. So for me to, if I want to win a state championship, I got to go hard. I got to be hustle. I got to do it, and I got to do it in practice. So then, okay, that's it. So I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to call you out if your words don't align with your actions. If your words don't align with your actions, I'm going to call you out. And I think so, with parents, is just letting them know you're there to grow them as a human being so they can achieve the things that they want to achieve. Hopefully, we want to achieve something big in your sport, but also because of the influence that you have as coaches to make them better individuals when they're away from you, when they're in the community, when they're off to college or they're at work, is helping them become the best version of themselves, the best man, the best woman, the best version of yourself, and you're playing a part in that. I think that's how you get buy-in from parents.
Awesome, thank you. And last question here to close it out. Should your leadership style change when you are one of the assistant coaches compared to when you're the head coach?
Should your style set? So when it comes to style, for me, it has to be like, I don't change who I am. No matter if I want to be the head coach or if I don't change who I am. I know there's different, I don't know the names of all the different styles of leadership. I get confused. I'm like Bruce Lee, man. Bruce Lee, he used whatever style he needed to get the job done. Sometimes for you to be influential. And so for me, his styles is like, I just go through that. I understand who I am, number one. And I ask myself, do I have to change who I am to get to this place? And if I have to change who I am to get to that place, I don't want that. Because I understand who I am. I understand my impact. I want to have impact. And so if you have to change all these different things, you can change how you communicate, right? You can start to develop your knowledge. You can do all those type of things, but when it comes to like styles, man, you are who you are. Now it's like picking a piece, those influencers. How do you use those things to get you to where you want? If you want to have the head coaching job, understand you're going to have to be a great communicator to not just the kids, but also the parents. There's relationships that you're going to have to build, not just with the kids, but also with the parents in high school. So, I don't believe in that changing like my style. I don't have a style.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alex. This was amazing. And thank you to all the coaches who hopped on today. We really appreciate it. And I know you got a ton out of this, and it'll be recorded. So if anyone needs it or the deck, we'll make sure we get it to you. But thank you guys so much for hopping on today. Be sure to follow Alex on everything and get his book if you can. It's a great book. So thank you again. Alex, any closing words?
No, I think, in closing is understanding like your influence. The position that you have as a coach is powerful, even more powerful than you know. you have a chance to help shape someone's life that's younger than you and who doesn't understand quite who they are just yet. So how you interact with them, the words that comes out of your mouth, the things that you do are all so powerful, so powerful. And so you can lead them down the right path, but also if you're not intentional, you can lead them down the wrong path. So just how you interact with people and how you lead is powerful. You got to understand it. All right. You got to understand leadership, because it's not just going to help you out in the corporate world and not just in the, in coaching. You can change the trajectory of your family. So this is something I'm very passionate about. And I just think we all have influence. Some of us influence is greater than others, but we all have influence. If one person is following you, you're a leader. So that's my closing remarks.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And again, thank you to all the coaches who hopped on today. We know you learned a lot, so thank you. And everyone have a fantastic day.
Enjoy. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.